Hello. So I just wanted to explain a little bit about exactly what this tutorial will be before we get started. So this is meant to help people get through a casual playthrough. Maybe you've tried the game before, or you've watched it before, so you're not really worried about going in blind, or you just know that you don't want to try to struggle through it blind. So the goal of this will be to show you a recommended boss order, the best places to pick up upgrades, the order to pick up those upgrades, how to use them. We'll explain some basic mechanics and stuff, maybe a little bit of some advanced stuff, and we'll show some cheeses and stuff too. If you know, for a lot of the boss fights, I'll try to show both intended strats and cheese strats. So if you want to just skip a boss because you're tired of it, I'll try to give you a way to do that if I can. Assuming that way is not harder than just beating the boss, which in some cases it is. So we're just going to start in the tutorial here. It's just kind of teaching us the stealth mechanics primarily, also jumping and wall kicking. Gonna do some annoying pop-ups. So you just crouch and go left here. Don't think anyone's really gonna struggle to get through this part anyway, but just sneak to the left here. And then you can just stop crouching immediately. One thing with the ledge hanging that I've seen people make the mistake of casually is that they try to like press the ledge hang to time it, but you just want to hold it. If you just hold ledge hang, you'll automatically like ledge grab if you pass near anything that's in range. I'm gonna hit this trigger here. I'm gonna go ahead and be skipping the cutscenes. We're not worried about story stuff. So I gotta get through this here. Now you don't have to kill any of the guards out here. Kuro's gonna talk to us if we don't heal. Unless you go out the window, which you can do, but I'll just go out the door. There's a pellet here. Pellets are like a bad version of life gems. You eat them and then they heal you a little bit. They're not very good for the most part, but they can be useful for wandering around, so I will note some pickups of them when they're like on the way. So the basic combat of this game, so I could like backstab him right here and insta-kill him, but he has the yellow bar there. That's his posture, and above that is his health. So you want to either, if you deplete the health bar of a normal enemy like this, they will just like fall and die. Like that. You can still death blow them, and there's reason you might want to do that later, but you don't need to death blow them. Bosses and mini bosses, you will have to death blow them. So we have our own posture bar at the bottom, and you will also get guard broken if your posture bar fills. But worth noting, as long as you do a parry like that, notice that I still took posture damage on the bottom there for a little bit. But even if your posture bar down there fills up, as long as you parry, you won't actually get posture broken. But it can still matter, like, casually, if your posture gets full. So if you need to, like, lower your posture, you can back up and then hold block. And your posture will go down. So, like, that. And then the more health you have, the faster it will go down. And the same is basically true for enemies. They will try to recover their posture, but the more health you take off of them, then the slower it will recover. How much that actually matters varies a lot from fight to fight. Like, some bosses you really don't need to care about taking their health down at all. Other fights you really need to. So I'll definitely be mentioning that when we get to specific bosses. But we don't have to fight any of those guys just to complete the story. You don't really get anything useful. You get a pellet for killing the mini-boss. Laughable item drop. Oh, I'm jumping in these sections because I can't sprint, so it's like slightly faster to jump. Doesn't matter casually, but speed habits. And then this also, you don't get anything for killing this boss, so we're just gonna let him kill us for the sake of the tutorial. That's Sculptor. We'll talk to him later. We're also going to go behind this building here and pick up this 100 sen pouch. And sen, in this game, they divided your experience and your like currency that you would spend into different items. So sen is like our currency. And I'll grab the pellet there, the 2 pellets there, rather. We don't need to grab that idol, we automatically have it. And now, since we got our arm cut off in that cutscene, we have our grappling hook. But we could just use this to grapple around here. Now, of note in outskirts here, there is an Akko's sugar down here. Now, sugars are temporary buffs. By default, they last 30 seconds. An Akko's sugar is going to give you a 12.5% boost to your attack power, which affects how much damage you do to an enemy's health and how much you do to their posture, with no drawback. However, for the sake of this guide, we're going to be trying to avoid strats that use consumables as much as we possibly can. I'll definitely try to show strats that don't use consumables, even if I do show strats that do use consumables as well. So we'll try to cover both. We're going to grab that shuriken there. That is our first prosthetic. We're not going to use it right away, but we do actually want to go and immediately go back to the sculptor and equip it. Because prosthetics are powered via a currency, a separate currency called spirit emblems. And spirit emblems, we can't gain any or like find any in the world until we actually have a tool or move that uses spirit emblems. And so if you kill a mini boss, normally when you have like a shuriken or something like that, any prosthetic tool, you get 15 spirit emblems. However, if we see, there's 5 we just found there. We can get them from killing enemies randomly as well, but it's notable that you get 15 for killing each mini boss. But you don't get any for killing full bosses, weirdly. And then you can also buy them here. So they only cost 10 sen right now. So if you want to like go grind money or something from random enemies and save up to buy a bunch of spirit emblems starting out, you can do that. Don't use the sen pouches that I'm telling you to pick up for that though, because we're grinding. We're picking these up for a specific purpose, at least until like mid-game. So do be aware of that. I'll let you know when it's time to use the pouches. And so now we got the first mini boss that we're actually going to kill here. I'll crouch so he doesn't see me, but for a lot of these mini bosses and sometimes bosses, but mostly mini bosses that are out in the overworld, you can get a stealth death blow like this, which is just going to take a full health bar off immediately, because unlike the normal enemies where you just death blow them once and they're dead, these guys you have to death blow twice, usually. There are some exceptions. But so if you just run off here, you see we get the red circle, we just hit the attack button, get a free health bar off right there. I'm going to try and push him away from here. And take your time messing around with this guy. It's a good chance to learn the mechanics. That's him trying to recover posture. That's a sweep attack. So enemies have certain attacks that can't be blocked. Block meaning that, a hard block like that. Some of them can't be parried, but some of them can. This guy doesn't have any thrust attacks or grab. I don't think he'll do any grabs. But so the sweep that he does... Sweeps go along the ground, and you're supposed to avoid them by jumping. There are also thrust attacks. You get a specific counter to thrust attacks later. That's what you would jump. Actually, I want him to do that again. But thrust attacks you can also parry. You just can't, like, miss the timing on it, basically, is the important thing. I just want to show... Here. And you kick him like that by hitting the wall kick button while you're in the air. You can wall kick an enemy that isn't doing a sweep attack like that, but you only do like 10% of the damage, so it's like not generally worth it. And then so optimally you're going to be trying to like hitting the boss, and then once they parry you with that parry sound, then you want to stop attacking and be ready to block, try and parry, ideally. But if you miss the block, if you miss the parry and just block, at least you won't take full damage. I want to pick up this ash as well, so I'm going to be picking up some ashes for a strat, like, way later. So, like, make kind of a note of that, potentially. It is for a cheese strat, so if you don't want to do, if you know you don't want to do a cheese strat, then you don't really need to worry about the ash, but if you might want to do it, then make a note of the ash pickups. But yeah, so the parry frames you get on your block are very early in the animation, so you want to block just before they hit. However, you have more parry frames. Like, your parry frames last longer than you would think if you block and hold it. However, if you unblock and then try to reblock, you get fewer parry frames. So something you'll see people do casually a lot is they'll like spam like this. And this isn't like the worst thing if you're really desperate, because it's possible that you'll parry. You generally won't, but you know, you won't take damage. You'll just get a hard block if you miss the timing. So it's not like the worst thing. But if you're really trying to learn parry timing, it's better if you wait and then hold confidently, because you'll be surprised at how long of a window you actually have. The parry frames are fairly generous in this game. We're going to go pick up this coin purse here. And then we're going to jump down here, pick up these 3. So this gives us 5 total. And then we're going to go talk to this old lady here, get a bell from her, which is going to give us access to another optional area, but it's probably worth doing casually. At the very least, there's some stuff we can go and grab there that you definitely would want to do casually, even if you don't want to do the bosses. And then we can go talk to this guy, and we'll first sell all our coin pouches. You can also go into your inventory and use them manually, but it's faster to sell them, so I'm just going to sell them. And I'm going to buy these firecrackers here, which is another prosthetic tool. And then I'm going to drop down here. There's 3 gotchin sugars. Now, gotchin sugars are sugars that make you essentially invisible for 30 seconds. There are some very useful strats you can do with these. So I am going to show some strats that use gotchin sugars, but I will try to also show gotchinless strats when applicable. And so we'll grab this. That's Ogre up there. You can go fight him now, but for the sake of making things easier, I'm going to recommend that you instead go to Dilapidated Temple. And we're going to go to Harada, which is that optional area I mentioned. Oh, this is Emma. She's going to upgrade our gourd, which is our healing item here. She has a lot of dialogue to do it. So present healing gourd, we have to go through all this. So we have 1 gourd seed right now, which we got from that mini boss that we killed. And then we will head to Harada. And there's some prosthetics we're going to get here, and then in addition to that, we're also going to be grabbing some money that we will use later. So I'm going to come all the way down to the corner here. Grab this treasure carp scale. You can get more of these, but you just need this 1 for our purposes here. Swim across to this island. That's a treasure carp, by the way. You can go swim after it and hunt it down if you want more carp scales, but we're just going to buy this 1 divine grass here. And this divine grass works like a divine blessing in Souls. It gives you a full heal and removes status conditions, but we're just going to sell it for 300 sen, because that's a lot in early game. Then we're going to pick up this 100 here. Then you can just go along the side here. Kill these guys if you want. You can feel free to like pick up anything that you might want to, like if you just want to explore, you don't have to follow this route exactly. Here's another Akos, which again I won't be using, but if you want to use it, I'll show where they are. You want to pick up this item here, which is a prosthetic, which is useful for Ogre. Just climb over this wall here. Kill this guy. You could just ignore this guy too. And just go for the item. But I'm gonna kill him for fun. Anyway. But yeah, you just need to run and pick this up. Here. Open and then pick up the axe, because we will use that for some things. And then, is this the sen? Yes, this is the sen pouch. And then that's all we need here for now. So we will come back here later. And so we will open the shortcut door. Which will... It honestly is barely faster to take the shortcut anyway. Like, this game, it really doesn't take long to just run places when you know where they are. And it's fairly easy to avoid most enemies. But we'll grab this anyway. And now we will go equip all our prosthetics. Once we equip these, we're going to get a skill tree from Sculptor, but we don't want to actually learn any skills yet. So that'll be later. I will recommend some skill upgrades. And the order that you will get them for various strats. Oh. In the speedrun, we use a trick to skip dialogue that would have let me get the the text there without actually sitting through the dialogue, and I just tried to do it, but I have subtitles on, so that won't work. But doesn't matter. We're gonna warp back here. And now I'll show some Ogre strats. So the easiest way to do the stealth death blow on Ogre is probably going to be the Gotchin way. So I will show that first. There is a harder way to do it without Gotchin, and there is an easier way to do it without Gotchin. I will show both. There is an advantage to doing either... Not a huge advantage, but there is an advantage to doing either the Gotchin way or the hard way without Gotchin. Oh, also enemies drop things like sen and items. But if you die and you have, like see in the bottom corner there, that 33 sen, like the raw sen you have on you, if you die you can lose that. There's a pellet up here, I'll just grab it. So I'm not going to be looting stuff from random enemies. I'm only going to be using the sen pouches, because these sen pouches and items in your inventory you can't lose upon death. So I want to make sure that if you mess around and die a lot, like just randomly exploring or doing other stuff, you still have like the stuff you need to purchase the mandatory items or the the recommended items for this, for the strats and stuff. So then you want to have the firecrackers and the flame vent here. The shuriken you could remove if you want, but it doesn't really matter. So, Gotchin. Lock on, crouch. And then you see, just get like close to him and that'll appear. And then he'll always open with the grab here. So you can kind of just R1 around to the side of him and then behind him. And then he'll stagger anytime you use firecrackers on him. Well, there's a cooldown on it. And then flame vent twice for a stagger. And see, he's already almost dead. So if you know what you're doing, you can basically stun lock him through his second phase like that. Let me show the hard Gotchinless way. I don't really recommend this if you run out of gotchins or you don't want to be reliant on gotchins. I still wouldn't really recommend this. This is what we do in runs, basically. But it's fairly easy to mess up. So you run like kind of along here, jump off of here, wall kick, and you have to go like into this corner. And then like up to the side, and you have to like push right on the analog stick. And then like immediately do the death blow. So firecrackers. So basically I'm like just R1ing around him. Well, that's interesting, he didn't stagger there. That's okay. Because he was in that attack animation, but he's almost dead anyway. But I'm just kind of R1ing around behind him. Since I know he's going to open with that grab attack anytime you backstab him off of here, I can just kind of do that around to the side of him. And then you do a firecracker, get some hits in, and then when he's coming back out of it, you switch to the flame vent, you get one flame vent, you hit him a few times, and then you flame vent again. So now the easier backup, and this is kind of a good general strategy. This works with a lot of mini bosses. If you need to move them into a place where they're easier to backstab. But say you mess up on the gotchinless strat or the gotchin strat, and he sees you. So just like, hey buddy, I'm over here. Let him break out. You could just run away. And eventually he will break aggro. And when he does break aggro, he will be like partway down the steps like that. So we kind of come back. And see, now he has to run, he has to walk back up the steps, so we can just run right up and then do this. But he's not guaranteed to open with the grab here, so I'm going to firecracker him instead. So the fight's a little harder if you do it this way, but if you run out of consumables, this works. One, two, three, 4, and 5, 6. Up. It takes a little bit of practice, but yeah, you can kind of chain those together. Otherwise, you want to just kind of be hitting him, preferably around to the side so that he's kind of turning to face you. And then you just kind of want to be very deliberate about your swings, and this is a good general strategy too. Don't mash your R1s here, because you want to be able to cancel your R1s. So if you're really not sure about a boss's moveset, you can kind of do like 1, 2, 1, 2. Because your third swing in your combo is longer like that, you see? Because he spins around. But at a minimum, you do want to be doing like 1, 2. When I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible, I'll like double tap. Like right when the swing is about done. But I'm not mashing. That's like a little bit more of an advanced thing, but it's like a good thing to practice. And yeah, I think we'll end it here at Ogre for this section here. And we'll see you in the next one.